Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Rayman, and for this video, I am going to be sharing to you guys my October wrap-up. Yes, this is a bit of a late wrap-up. Yeah, I've been really busy like for the past few weeks. That is why this video is a bit late, because I am filming this at the end of few days of November. It's been a while since I did a sit-down video. So yeah, let's talk about all of the books that I've read for the month of October. So I actually read 13 books. Let's go first with the statistics. Is again, I read 13 books. 8.5 books on my Kindle and 4.5 books on physical books. So if you're wondering bakit my 0.5, why there is like 0.5, it is because I actually read one book, half of it physical and half of it on Kindle, because that is the time that my Kindle arrived. So yeah, the total pages or number of pages is 4,491 pages and average rating of 3.88%. So for the book genre, I have 4 fantasy, 3 contemporary, 2 romance, 1 historical, 1 horror, 1 thriller, and 1 sci-fi. So I really do love my reading experience. I really did read a lot of genre for the month of October. So without further ado, let's start my wrap up. So the first book that I've read for the month of October is this book, which is We Are Inevitable by Gail Forman. I actually have a reading blog for this one, and guys, check it out. I will link it on the iCards. But basically, this is the book of the month pick for the month of October. Or September. Yeah, September for Then and Now Book Club. We Are Inevitable by Gail Forman is a YA contemporary book, and we follow our main character, which is Arian Stain, whose family has a bookstore, but eventually in the story is falling down into places, and our main character needs a break, a good kind of inevitable. Our main character in this novel loves reading, so we can all relate to that one. And my dream is actually to have a bookstore also. Like in the future, if I will have an opportunity, I would really love to own a bookstore. But anyway, after the events of what happened with the family or with the parents, he started to just love reading dinosaur books. And with this book, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really did enjoy it in the sense of it really talks about important things such as, family, friendship, tackles more of the sense of addiction, the description of the knowledge when it comes to addiction, the exploration of addiction in this book. It also talks about it. And Gail Forman is actually the author of If I Stay Duology, which is, I really fell in love with the first book, which is If I Stay, but the second one, Where She Went, I actually did not like that book when I was younger. I wanted If I Stay to be a standalone book, because I really fell in love with the story, because it also has a musical element in the book. Just like here, there is music references, and I think Gail Forman is really good when it comes to that one. And other than that, it only has 288 pages. Because of the pages is really short, I really felt like the backstory is a bit of a long. There is really a huge exposure when it comes to the backstory that maybe people might not really want that. Maybe they will be bored in the sense of reading this book, because again, it is a bit of a short, or pages is short, but it's more of the backstory that people might got bored. And yeah, I really felt the boredness in this book in any sense. In some parts, the ending was good. It was a standalone book that has closure on it. So yeah, again, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And We Are Inevitable is a bit of a contemporary side, and the romance in this book is not really the strongest. So yeah, if you're looking for a romance book, this is not the kind of romance that you really wanted, because it's really more of, or it tackles more about life, friendship, family, and the expression or the exposure of addiction. So again, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read for the month of October is this book, which is See Me by Nicholas Sparks, and this one is the book of the month pick for the month of September for the BLOURAY book club. See Me by Nicholas Sparks is a romance fiction, and we follow Colleen, who has not been good when it comes to his past, because he has a history of violence and bad decision. And in the present time of the story, he is having his second chance. And we have our second character in this novel, which is Maria Sanchez, who is the daughter of a Mexican immigrant. She is a perfectly well-raised daughter. She is a lawyer at the same time. She has a secret of her own in the past. So these two characters will collide and they will unleash all of their secrets in the past, and the present became the past, and someone in their past will somehow go to their present. So this is really a mystery kind of romance book, and I gave this book actually a 4 out of 5 stars. This book tackles more of second chances. There is like a mystery, murder, thriller in this book, which is I did not expect, but the last few pages of this one is actually my favorite. I really do love it so much. The reason why I did not give it a 5 out of 5 stars is number one, it's a bit of a long book. I really felt like this book is a bit of a long, that there are just really moments in the book that I felt like unnecessary in any sense. So that is really my critique with this one. But overall, I really do love seeing Nicholas Sparks, because Nicholas Sparks writing or like books is really more or leaning into romance book, but this one he really added flavor when it comes to mystery, thriller, or like that kind of genre in this book, which is I really fell in love with that kind of writing. I actually have similar opinion when it comes to See Me and We Are Inevitable by Gail Forman, because the backstory of this one I really felt is a bit of a long. I was really shocked because when I am doing this wrap up, I then realized that I have the same issue with this book and We Are Inevitable. But again, I still enjoyed this. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I've read for the month of October is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this book is the first book that I've read on my Kindle app. So I still don't have my Kindle that time when I started reading this. I actually just read it over my phone on my Kindle, and I gave this book actually a 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. Yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Taylor Jenkins Reid is the author of Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and we are following our main characters in this one, which is the siblings, or the 4 siblings of the children of Mick Riva, who is the Mick Riva is one of the husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So this story is a historical fiction novel set in, I think, August and in Malibu, wherein there is this kind of event that is going on, and then there's a lot of backstory that's happening with the family. So this is really more of like a family dynamic story. People are telling or saying that this is actually a daddy issue story, but for me, it's actually okay. I really feel like, you know, the importance of being a father in the story. Like, you know, there is the gap between the siblings and this main character, which is Mick Riva, and what Mick Riva did in the past. So I really do love the character development of Mick Riva, in the sense of I got angry with him. I actually felt that the story of Mick Riva is really important in the books of Taylor Jenkins Reid. Over the course of the story, it is just like 24 hours, but there is really a lot of backstory, and this is really different from See Me and We Are Inevitable, because the backstory of this one is I really, truly, deeply enjoyed, because I really do love the backstory of the characters. Like the character development of all of the characters I really do enjoy. Like the 4 siblings, we have Nina, I forgot other names, Nina, Jay, we have Kit, and we actually have Hud. So they are like photographers, they are model, we have model, and then they're all surfers. So I really feel like this book can be read over the summer, and if you're in the beach, in the pool, this is really a perfect book for that kind of time. And speaking of characters, my favorite is actually Nina, because it's really a heartwarming story. Like Nina's character is my favorite because, you know, what happened with their family, with her mother, she became responsible. Nina's character, her sacrifices over the family. This book will actually somehow make you cry, will make you happy, angry because of Mick Riva. It really has a good family dynamics, and there is a lot of tension over the course of their family. And again, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I've read is this one, which is Descendant of the Crane by Joanne He. Descendant of the Crane by Joanne He is an ancient-inspired world with beautiful cover, and we follow Hesina as she convinced everyone that her father, the king, did not die naturally and wanted justice. So she is determined to find who is the real murderer of her father. So as she discovered everything, there is something that is not expected from her side, and as she became the queen, she will discover a lot of things. So that is really the overall what is happening in this book as she became the queen. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I really feel like this book has a potential when it comes to the story, like discovering what really happened. So the reason why I purchased this book is number one, I really do love the cover of this book, and number two, this book is actually a Chinese inspired novel, and I really do love that kind of like references when it comes to books. I really do love Chinese culture because again I am half Filipino, half Chinese. So this one I really do love the cover. So this is actually a buddy read with Kim over Kim Reads. I don't know what rating she gave with this one. I think 3.5 or 4. I'm not sure. Kim, if you are watching, what rating, you can comment down below. You can really sense that this book is a Chinese Game of Thrones because the intriguing of the story, political aspect in this book. So I really am enjoyed with this book. However, I really did not feel the writing style of this book. I really have a lot of questions after reading this book. Like, I really felt like there is something more of the story that I wanted more from it. There are just really like moments wherein I really felt so dull, so flat, so honestly speaking, I fell asleep reading this book. Like when I actually read it on my Kindle, somehow I read it at night and I fell asleep. So yeah, there are just really moments wherein I feel lost with the book. I really feel disconnected with the book. So that's really what I wanted to say to you guys, that this book has the potential, but then again I lost connect with the book. But again, I still gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's still a standard rating. So if you're interested with Chinese inspired novel, fantasy, political intrigue like Chinese Game of Thrones, go pick this book. So the next book that I've read is actually the first ever book that I've read from start to finish on my Kindle, and it is All These Bodies by Kendra Blake. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars, and this is a YA horror book. So this book is actually a bit of like a historical fiction or like a paranormal because it talks also about vampires, because this story is we are following this character or teenager who is trying to solve a mystery, a murder mystery wherein they found a bodies with no blood. So that's really intriguing of why there is a body with no blood at all. So they are trying to figure out what happened. You know, the investigation is really happening, what really is going on, why there is no blood. So it's really more of like a paranormal because it really also talks about like, you know, vampires. Maybe there is vampires, that is why there's no blood. So it's really an intriguing story. This is actually a bit of like you are watching a mystery crime documentaries on Netflix, which is I really do love reading that or like watching that documentaries, like what really happened, you know, the investigation and stuff like that. It's like that one, but it's a book now which has all these bodies. So for me, I really felt bored in the book. I don't know why. It's really confusing in the sense of at the end of the book, I'm still questioning if the murder mystery is solved or not. So I don't know, maybe because this is not my genre, that's why I had a hard time figuring out what is really happening. But when it comes to Netflix, when it comes to documentaries, I am really invested. But with this one, while reading the book, I had really a struggle. I really felt sad because Kendra Blake is actually one of my go-to author because she is the author of Anna Dressed in Blood. So I really thoroughly enjoyed that book. I actually cried over that book. I have a reading vlog for that one last year with my 48-hour reading vlog. So yeah, I don't know, like I feel so ashamed of myself of not liking one of Kendra Blake's book. So after a horror murder mystery book, I decided to read this book, which is a Pho Love Story written by Lo An Lee. But still, I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. So yeah, this is a romance book. It's actually a good story. It talks about two main characters who is somehow their parents or their family is rival when it comes to their restaurant. Like they have like this Vietnamese restaurant, and these two characters have their family has a restaurant and they're all rivals. So yeah, this one is actually a cute love or romance book, but it did not connect me in any sense and in any form. And yeah, I really so desperate of like loving this book because this is actually one of my like go-to genre, which is romance. Like this book is actually arsenic and adobo because there's a lot of food in here, but there's actually no murder in this book, don't worry guys. It's really purely like contemporary romance, like family business restaurant, and I really thoroughly enjoy the writing style of this one. But the romance is actually my my main concern. Like, I wanted to read this because of the romance, but then again, it did not click. It did not. I really did not felt the chemistry of the characters like Lynn and Bo, story, their love, their romance. But because of that one, because of the no connection with the romance for me, I started to lean forward into the story when it comes to the family dynamics. I'm concentrating with the book with the family business of what is really happening with the food, with the culture of Vietnamese. So that is really one of the factors that I did enjoy, like the culture of the Vietnamese people, the food, and stuff like that. So again, I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. It was good, but the intention of loving it with the romance was not there. So the next book that I've read is actually, I don't know why I read it, and it is Crave by Tracy Wolf. I also gave this a 3 out of 5 stars, and my rating for this one is it won't matter because number one, officially I am over Twilight. I'm over vampires. I think I grew older not enjoying like vampire story anymore. Like this book is actually similar with Twilight. If you were going to be revamped into modern Twilight, this is it. Like Tracy Dion's Crave. But with this one's really a bit of an interesting for me because this is a YA fantasy novel. It follows this character, which is Grace. Grace's character, her parents got into accident. So it talks about grief. And then one day she went to Alaska, started to go to school. And this school is really interesting because the school or the academy is really more of like, magic. We have this kind of very, very hot vampire, which is similar with Edward from Twilight. So we have Jackson, who has a mystery when it comes to this story. There is a mystery or like a deepest secret in the story. So that is what we are following aside of the events of what is happening to Grace's character. So we are like very intrigued of what is the secret that Jackson the vampire is inside their head. So yeah, again, I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. One of my issue with this one also is the pacing of the story. It's a bit of a long for me. There are just really moments or like dragging moments in the book. So if you are looking forward into fast-paced books, I think this book will not be included. And I truly understand because this is the first book in a series. So yeah, the question is if I'm going to continue on the series. I think no, because again, I am really over vampires. But yeah. So the next book that I read is Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerry Maniscalco, and I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars, but I'm still debating of whether to give this a 4 out of 5 stars because throughout the progress of like absorbing all of the events that's happened in this book, I therefore conclude that I really thoroughly enjoy this one. So this book, The Kingdom of the Wicked, it is a YA fantasy novel, and we follow at the beginning we have two characters, or like one character. We have twin sister. One is died, and the other one is somehow the character we're in. She felt like she needs to do something because of the death of her twin sister. So somehow she is a witch. She summoned the demon she thought the killer of her sister or her twin sister. So then again, she made a mistake and she summoned one of the princess of hell, which is Rat. Because of this one, they actually both don't like each other, but because of the summoning, they got connected. They have a bond, so they have to somehow solve a lot of mystery in this book when it comes to her sister, when it comes to their bond, when it comes to everything. So it's a bit of like a romance also. It is actually a bit of like an enemies to lovers trope, and I did enjoy this book. What I also like about this one is the atmospheric vibe that our author gave, because Kerry Maniscalco is also the author of Stalking Jack the Ripper, which is I thoroughly also enjoy that book. I haven't really finished the sequels, but the first book alone, Stalking Jack the Ripper, is actually one of I really thoroughly enjoy that one. So this is set in Italy, I believe, and I really felt the atmospheric vibe of Italy. It was really a good book. It was a good YA novel, and I believe this will turn into adult fantasy. I'm not yet sure, but I think I saw it. I think I saw it with Carrie's post that this one is a bit of going to be an adult fantasy. But then again, I really did enjoy this one. The main thing that I did not like is the main character itself. I really felt like she is naive. The main character of this book, I am really sometimes annoyed with her. And other than that is I actually also sometimes felt the plot and the pacing is a bit off for me, but not really too much. But sometimes I feel it's a bit of a draggy for me. But yeah, the ending was good, the twist was good, and it was actually a cliffhanger. So again, I give this book, I guess, 4 stars now. So the next book that I finished for the month of October is this book, which is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. And I actually gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. This book is a reread for me. I actually featured this one last year over my reading blog. And yeah, I listened that to the audiobook. With this one, I read this on physical book. I actually have no intention of buying this book, but because of Then and Now Book Club, I purchased this book. And this actually broke my book buying ban because I told myself that I'm not gonna buy more books because I just recently purchased Kindle. So this is the book of the month pick for the month of October for the Then and Now Book Club. So big shout out to Then and Now Book Club. Mga budol kayo, but anyway, I really do love their budols. But anyway, with this one, The Graveyard Book, a story about this character, this kid. His name is Nobody Owens. So Nobody Owens, unfortunately, his parents died in the story. So there is a mystery element of who is the killer. So he lives now into this kind of graveyard. He was taken care by the ghost, and yeah, that's really more of the story, like a mystery element of what really happened to his parents or to his family, and you know how will the ghost will try to take care of Nobody Owens. Book again, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars because I really thoroughly love the character of this one. I really do love the ghost, the family ghost. I really felt the connection with them, the relationship of each character in this book, you know, the place, the graveyard, and the mystery element of the book of who is the killer. I really enjoy it so much. It's actually something to be read not just once, not just twice. Like, this book really became like my comfort read. So yeah, worth the buy, worth the budol. So thank you so much Then and Now Book Club that this is the book of the month pick for the month of October. I actually joined the group discussion over Discord last month, and I enjoyed the group discussion because merong bardago lang nangyari. So if you're interested, I will link the Then and Now Book Club details down on the description box below. So the next book that I've read is this one, which is Verity by Colleen Hoover. This is actually the book of the month pick for the month of October for the BLOURAY book club, and this is the anniversary book because we just celebrated our anniversary for the BLOURAY book club. So yeah, this one is a reread for me also. I rate this book a solid 5 out of 5 stars. Like, if you haven't read this book, go read this. This is a thriller novel. It is from Colleen Hoover. This book, we follow our main character, which is Lowen. So Lowen is somehow going to be like a ghostwriter or like a replacement of Verity, who is a well-known author. Verity's character, she is not capable of continuing his novel, her series. So yeah, that's really the main point of the story, but there are a lot of things happen that I'm not gonna say because it's a bit of a spoilery. But again, this is a mystery or like thriller novel, and the ending will really shock you. Like, you will question yourself, what is the ending of the story, if you are team manuscript or team letter. So I will leave it there. I'm not gonna say anymore because I wanted you to read this. Like, if you haven't read it, go. Please, I am begging you, read Verity by Colleen Hoover. The last 2 books on my list is this one, which is Aristotle and Dante, Discovering the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Saenz. I hope I say it right, but I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. This is a reread for me, but the first time that I've read this, I only gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, and I was really shocked with the story. I was really shocked with me in the sense that, like, I enjoyed it on the second time reading it. This book has a simplest plot, we follow Aristotle and Dante. They became best friends even though they are really, there is a differences between the two characters. So being best friend, they try to discover the secrets of the universe. You will analyze what I said. It's just really like, you know, the title of the book. This book has more to it than the plot because there is a lot of things to consider. There is like identity, friendship, family, like it was just really good. It talks about acceptance of who you are and what you are, and being accepted in the society was not really easy. And yeah, this book really affects me with a lot of sense. Like, this book is the kind of story that I really wanted to read and read and read throughout the rest of my life, because it is really a eye-opener to everyone that whatever happens, you know, you have to accept things. You have to accept a lot of changes in life, and you know, the society is saying to you. You know, the reason why I wanted to read this over and over again throughout my life, it's because there is a lot of like lessons in life with this book. And yeah, this is really one of the kind of story that I was really shocked, because the first time I read it, I did not actually like felt it. But as I age, as I grew old and read this for a second time, I was really shocked. I was really shocked to myself, like, wow, I really did enjoy this book. And speaking of this one, there is a sequel that is I've also read, which is, I forgot the title, but there is water of it. And with that book, I was really emotional. Like, I'm going to share to you one clip. So yeah, it is Aristotle and Dante dive into the waters of the world, and I gave that, or like this duology, or I don't know if it's a duology, but I gave these two books a solid 5 out of 5 stars. It was really emotional. I really do love the family dynamics. The character development of the sequel was just really phenomenal. The sequel is actually one of my favorite books I've read this year. It was emotional. It was an eye-opener. It was a good sequel. I really enjoy it so much, and yeah, it was an emotional read. So if you want an emotional book, go pick this one. So these are the books that I've read for the month of October. We have 5 physical books and 8 Kindle ebooks. So how about you guys? What have you read for the month of October? I know today is November, or the end of November. You can share all of your thoughts or like books that you've read down on the description box down below. So that is really it for my video. So once again, thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more about the vocation side, you can click subscribe, and I will see you on my next video. Bye!